Hudson County View live at Uncut. I'm your host, or what you see is what you get, and what you don't is better yet, John Arhitis with the latest and greatest at Hudson County News. So obviously we got quite a few items to talk about today. And for one thing, we have quite a few things happening in the Mile Square City. And the one that got a lot of attention over this holiday weekend was that the St. Patrick's Day parade or celebration, depending who you ask, will be returning on March 4th. And some residents are upset that that's coinciding with the annual Leprechaun Bar Crawl. Obviously, that's led to some raucous behavior in the past, a lot of drunken shenanigans where people get arrested, a lot of calls for service. People are worried about that. You know, this is a much smaller scale than what they've done previously, but we're going to get to all the details on that in a little bit. We're also going to talk a little bit on still talking about pedestrian and traffic safety in Jersey City. You know, still a couple hit and run and other vehicular traffic incidents that happened in the past week, so we're going to chat a little bit about that. Also going to talk a bit about the latest Hoboken City Council meeting. We had that Union Dry Dock lease, and we also had that contract to build the Maritime Park, so we want to touch on that a little bit. And you guys obviously are familiar with the fact that last week my guest was Hudson County Commissioner Anthony Stick Romano. Today we have his opponent, Hudson County Commissioner candidate Ron Bautista. So all that and a little bit more right after we get back with a word from our sponsors.
Jersey City Ford Certified Parts and Service, located at Route 440 and Communipaw Ave, is your #1 source for Ford and Lincoln automotive needs. We use certified Ford Motorcraft products to keep your Ford running in top shape. Motorcraft parts are backed with the Ford warranty, which includes a 2-year unlimited mileage guarantee. Our team will have the right Motorcraft part to ensure the best performance from your Ford or Lincoln. You can order in person at the parts counter or online. Let us help keep your Ford or Lincoln in the best shape at Stevens Jersey City Ford.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design studio and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Hudson County View live at Uncut. John Arhitis, and as I just mentioned a few moments ago, today I'm joined with Hudson County Commissioner candidate Ron Bautista. Ron, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me, John.
Very welcome. So, Ron, look, obviously you've been very politically active in the past few years. I think this is your 5th election in, 6.5 years, give or take, something like that. So, obviously you haven't got the result that you wanted yet, but you've chosen to pick a rematch with Anthony Romano. Why did you want to give this another shot?
Well, just to put things into perspective, I went from 1% of the vote to 40% of the vote in the first 4 years as a U.S. citizen. So, you know, that really means a high growth. It showed really the consistency, the commitment, and I always take in politics really as my way to give back to the community. The reason why I'm running for office against Romano really is that he has shown us his values, right? He doesn't care about the science with pedestrian safety. He doesn't care about immigrants, right? And a lot of immigrant families are mixed status families, and he renewed the contract more than twice, I think 3 times, with the county jail and ICE. So all those values and really not being present in terms of as an activist. We need somebody that's an everyday person that's going to look out for everyday people, not tied to the political party bosses, that's actually going to fight for the residents of Hoboken, Jersey City, and actually all of Hudson County.
Okay, point taken. So now let's talk a little bit about what's actually happening in the county right now. So Hoboken is in an interesting predicament, right? So they have this formula that's a lot of people think is a bit archaic, but whatever the case may be, you usually see like 3 to 5 years of increases, and then you see 3 to 5 years of decreases in terms of taxes, right? So the past couple years, Hoboken's got a bit of a break, like maybe a 1 to 2% tax decrease. I don't know what it looks like this year yet, to be honest. But what do you think about, like, in terms of fiscal responsibility and how you would approach this budget if elected?
For the county commissioners, I would approach it in terms of figuring out where the waste in the budget comes from as well. I mean, even in the county schools of technology, you had a superintendent that got $1 million when he retired, and he's still the superintendent from what I understand, and he's still getting high paid salaries. I think it has to be more about focusing on where the money is going to have the biggest impact. Are we funding our housing, right? Providing affordability in nonprofit apartment units the same way that we have a trust fund for parks, right? We need to be able to prioritize this. We have people who are number 5,000 in the waiting list for senior housing in Hoboken, and we need to be able to provide some of these. So it has to be a balance between what's the higher impact. The county has been able to manage its finances pretty well, but it's also about making sure that people know where their money is going. Right now, I've been doing phone calls for a few months now, and voters don't know what the county government does, what the county commissioner does, and that's exactly what the problem is. We have to let people know where the tax dollars are going and how that's impacting them. And people in Hoboken and Jersey City, they don't see it.
Okay, so now to that point, when people think, and even the people that pay attention, right, they typically think the county government does roads, they do, public property, they do the schools, as you mentioned, and they really don't know the nuts and bolts. So how would you work affordable housing into something on the agenda, or something in a legislative fashion that could actually have an impact on residents?
Well, first also, I am running together with Elena Little, who's running for county executive, so we're pushing for that, for the executive seat as well. There is a policy called Community Land Trust that we've been working and talking about for the past few years. We're basically saying the same thing. It's like the same way that we're funding a trust fund for parks, let's do a trust fund for Community Land Trust that provides more nonprofit apartment units in the county. These are regional issues, right? And just like homelessness, that is a regional issue. It cannot be just tackled by funding the shelters, because shelters is not homes. And also providing more support, like social workers. We finally, after years of advocacy, got social workers in Hoboken for the city of Hoboken. But the city of Hoboken cannot take on all the resources that are needed to tackle a regional issue. So that's where the county has to step in and step up. And that's what I will be working from the legislative side as a county commissioner.
Okay, so now that's part of a bigger issue too about infrastructure, right? Like I know when Elena was on, she talked about rapid bus transit and things like that. I mean, look, it's a bit of a tricky issue because you have NJ Transit, you have the county, you have the municipalities, and to some extent, sometimes you even have the Port Authority. So it's choppy waters to navigate. How would you be able to take that on in any way, shape, or form?
So for bus rapid transit, is not it's something that hasn't been invented here. It has been done all around the world, and in places that have less resources than what we have here in Hudson County. I have spoken to engineers at NJ Transit when they have like their open conversations with the community, and I would ask them about that. And really, the only impediment that they see is the political will of the county government, because those are the county roads. Because the cost is not the issue. They would love if the buses would be able to run on time and not hit traffic. And our roads are wide enough that they are allowed to do a soft kind of bus lane, the same similar that we have on 14th Street in New York City. You have bus lanes that are still accessible because you need also access for emergency vehicles and also in case you have to pick up and drop off in certain areas. But the cost won't be a big issue. I don't think the coordination will be a big issue. I think we need that first to push that policy and start getting the people to sit at the table and make it happen. Because this conversation has been going on for a long time, but we need the political will to make it happen.
All right, thank you, Rod. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere yet. We're just going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a refer a friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintodevelopment.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one path stop away, or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Hudson County View live at Uncut. Chad Arhitis, and I'm still here with Hudson County Commissioner candidate Ron Bautista. So, Ron, let's talk a little bit. Obviously, I've seen you at the past couple Jersey City Council meetings, and I know you've been going for a few months now. And the big issue is what's happening with what people are calling illegal rent increases at Portside Towers and some other buildings too. I think 70 Green was among them as well. Now, we know that Commissioner Romano has written a letter to the council and the city about this, asking them to enforce what's on the books. And I know you were doing that even prior to the letter coming out. So just tell me where you stand and how you think that this issue could be resolved.
Yeah, no, and I actually made a video in December with the backdrop of Hudson County View article about it.
Yes, yes.
And then I wrote an op-ed. So it's been a lot of activism. I think that, as I mentioned in the city council meeting, there's a big difference between a gesture and a commitment. And a commitment doesn't just show with words and on a pen and paper. It also comes with the political pressure, and I think that's what has been missing also in the commissioner's seat, is that advocacy side. The fact that he was in your show and he was saying, well, that's not my competency, that's something that the city has to deal with. But then he also said, oh, well, I had to go and advocate for the people that he had just found out that he represented, although the redistricting happened a year ago. It just shows the need for the voices of activists to be amplified by an elected official. That's why I'm running for office too. I'm not saying this is my cause. I'm saying that what are the causes that are out there that the community is fighting for, and then let's elevate those causes.
Got it. Okay. So now on the other side of the coin, if you will, we also have this issue with Hoboken rent control. And, this is something that's a little complicated, right, as rent control tends to be. But look, the bottom line is, I think you probably watched or at least read about that hearing. And look, a lot of tenants are unhappy, a lot of landlords are unhappy. It passed. Now there's talk of a referendum to loosen or perhaps even eliminate rent control. So how do you see this thing playing out, and what would you like to see happen as a Hoboken resident? Well,
I think that the rent control is not going away. We'll make sure that it doesn't, because the majority of the population in Hoboken is a tenant, and we're renters, and we are affected by 20-30% of rent increases. Unless we know our rights, unless we have somebody that fights for us. And actually that's what I'm pushing for also at the commissioner level, is for the county to be able to support the cities so that the city can be able to provide a digitized rent control database, so that if you're a tenant, you're able to see what your legal rent amount is. That's something that's not happening right now, not even in Hoboken. Right now it's pen and paper. And it's something that right now with the resolution and everything that they've been working on, they've been trying to evolve towards. And also being able to have that right to counsel. Just because we have the letter of the law doesn't mean that tenants have the avenues and the support right now to really be able to talk to somebody that would fight for them in court if they need to. and especially when we're facing corporate landlords. Now, for the referendum, I don't think that's a possibility. It doesn't mean that we're not going to put ourselves up in a fight, but we have to protect tenants, because we're not talking about contract with your phone company. We're talking about your livelihood. It takes money also to move out of a place. So it's not even just, hey, you just move out. It's also the proximity of where you work. It's the schools where your kids go. It's where you want to grow up also and establish a community. All these components come into play, and I'm personally willing to put up a fight if that comes up.
All right, well said. So now, on the political spectrum again, people tell me, things about the county government all the time, and one of them is that, my commissioner doesn't do X, Y, or Z. But look, despite that, and you've heard it too, I'm sure, Commissioner Amato's been up for election 4 times, pretty sure this would be the 5th, and he's won every time. Why do you think this will be different? I mean, he's got the HCDO support, he'll have more money, he has name ID. Why do you think this is the time that you'll flip the seat?
Well, because I also have more name ID than I did in the past. So just by running for office, like I said, I went up to 40% of the vote, and that was last time when I ran against him. And I ran off the line, no party support. And because I've been able to consistently be involved and committed to the community, that name recognition comes along with a brand. With people know what I'm about, and it's not just about waiting for them to know what I'm about. It's also about me doing their outreach. I've started earlier also because, just like an everyday person, I have a full-time job, right? Unlike the current commissioner. Who's double dipping and triple dipping on different offices and jobs. So I had to do the work after office hours on the weekends, and people see that. People see that we need somebody that's not really connected with the political machine and is looking after us. Also, a big example is Craig Guy just has now, using our tax dollars, I don't know if you saw the ad on Twitter, showing himself from the county's government's Twitter account, going to door, doing some rental support and talking to people about the vouchers. That's actually something that's so wrong in so many levels. I wonder if there's a legal aspect to it as well. But a chief of staff usually doesn't show up in an ad for the local government, especially when he calls out, contact the chief of staff, Craig Guy. So those are big issues. Those are issues that people notice. People want change, and that's what we're working towards.
All right, real quick, Ron.
Yeah.
So let's just say you win in June, and then Craig Guy wins in June. How would you work with his administration? Obviously, there's no love lost between you two, but is there a way you guys think that you guys could actually have some sort of professional relationship? Well,
yeah, everything is a work environment, right? And I've been able to do that in Hoboken. I haven't held office. Doesn't mean we haven't been able to push for change in things in Hoboken. So I've been able to work with everybody in Hoboken. I will be able to do the same thing with whoever wins the executive seat. And it takes 2 things, right? It takes the having that conversation and bringing up the policies that are right for people, but also mobilizing the people and leveraging that support. Also, by winning the commissioner seat, that changes the game for everything. Because so far, nobody has able to really win off the line if you were not an incumbent. And that shows that there is vulnerability in the system of politically connected people, that now they have to answer to the voters and not just to the political party bosses.
All right, Ron, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Best of luck.
Thank
you.
And
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in, but we're not done yet. We'll be right back.
Not everyone celebrates the birth of a baby. You have options. Don't panic. New Jersey has safe havens for unwanted infants. Leave the baby with staff at any hospital, ER, police or fire station, or rescue squad. Call the number on your screen for safe haven locations or go to www.njsafehaven.org. No shame, no blame, no names. Safe Haven.
This thing rips! Oh, it is so quick. There's a lot of punch packed into this Bronco Sport. It's got a ton of horsepower. I love it. All right, now we're getting hairy. Now we're getting the fun stuff. Yeah. I like how we can get over or around almost anything.
Yeah, I dig your ride. I super dig it. It's gonna be a good day.
Growing up can be tough on kids. So much is going on in the world that can cause depression or anxiety. Unusual behavior for more than 6 months could mean they need help. Don't wait. For real-time mental health support and counseling, call New Jersey's Children's System of Care. CSOC offers free mental health supports, substance use treatment, and services for intellectual or developmental disabilities for all kids up to age 21. Call now, 1-877-652-7624.
Introducing the all-new Ford Maverick. A truck for people who do stuff. And people who make stuff. People like Gabrielle Union.
I make this look good, don't I?
Who haul whatever they want to wherever they want. Like wood to build things made of wood with. And friends to get weird with. It's for long trips that the standard hybrid engine with a targeted EPA estimated city fuel economy rating of 40 miles per gallon helps with. That an 8-inch touchscreen connects with. And any trip that this interior makes more comfortable. But we'll let Gabrielle tell you all about it.
Or I could just tell them it's a Ford truck that starts at less than $20,000 MSRP.
Yep, that works too. The all-new Ford Maverick. Built to defy expectations.
Hudson County View live at Uncut, Chad Arhitis. So let's tackle a few issues in the Biosquare City. So first of all, let's go in chronological order. Let's talk about what happened at the council meeting here. So first of all, this was, another pretty long meeting, went till about 11 o'clock. But the point of the matter, there were two very critical items about Union Dry Dock, as I touched on at the top of the program. Now, one was this lease for New York Waterway, and the other was a contract for the Maritime Park. Anyone who's been following the past 5, 6, 7 years knows the city of Hoboken has been trying to acquire the Union Dry Dock property. That's that coveted piece of waterfront property in the 2nd Ward that was owned by New York Waterway until recently. They've been looking to do a contiguous waterfront park, and obviously this piece of property would be needed to complete that park. Now, a lot of people prior to this meeting were not particularly delighted with this lease because it's going to allow for refueling and maintenance of up to 20 ferries at the site. And it's also not going to be particularly lucrative. The lease is $4,573 a month, give or take a couple bucks, from New York Waterway to the city. And it's also guaranteed 3 years, could have an extension of up to 5. And a lot of residents expressed concern that this is a sweetheart deal for New York Waterway, I'm paraphrasing, of course. But if that's the case, why would they ever leave? So, it's a concern that's been expressed over and over on social media, and also we heard from probably at least a dozen people at the council meeting. And we also heard from one council candidate, that's Paul Presenzano in the 1st Ward. He pointed out that for those of you that have been following this issue for years, in November 2018, Mayor Ravi Bala said that the Union Dry Dock property would only become a ferry refueling and maintenance station, quote, over my dead body, end quote. So you get the point. This is an issue that has gotten people pretty fired up. And at the end of the day, though, it really wasn't a close vote. I mean, it ended up being 7-2. The only people who voted against was 2nd Ward Councilwoman Tiffany Fisher and 6th Ward Councilwoman Jen Giattino. Now, as far as the contract, the Maritime Park design that we're discussing as well, it was $1.17 million, and it was awarded to Manhattan-based Datner Architects, and that was a unanimous vote, actually. It was 9-0. And, of course, Bala was excited to see that this passed without any sort of dispute, really. And now he said in a statement the next morning, Maritime Park will truly be the people's park and will reflect what our residents want to see as we collaborate on a world-class park for all to enjoy. I encourage residents to stay tuned for the date of this first community meeting we will be hosting with Datner Architects. So, certainly an interesting development there. We're going to see what happens. Don't forget, there was a point that, pretty recent memory, probably no more than 5 weeks ago, Weehawken was weighing the possibility of suing Hoboken over this whole Union Dry Dock saga. Obviously, you all probably know that Union Dry Dock currently operates out of Weehawken. So we're going to see where that goes. I mean, I would imagine this lease would have quelled most of the concerns, but you never know with Hoboken, so we're going to keep our eye on it as always. So sticking with the Biosquare City, this one's a little unusual. because when we're talking about Brian Crimmins, that's actually the fire chief, but many of you probably haven't seen or heard about him in many years because he's been on, for a couple years, because he's been on paid leave since May 2021. We never really got an explanation over what's happening. Doesn't look like one is forthcoming either. But despite that fact, about a week and a half ago, we heard from the All Saints Episcopal Church, specifically from Reverend Dr. Elaine Ellis Thomas, saying that they want to see Chief Crimmins brought back at his full capacity to protect and serve the residents of Hoboken. So let me read an excerpt from her letter. We understand that Chief Crimmins was placed on paid administrative leave nearly 2 years ago, and that matter remains unresolved. During his leave, which has overlapped with a global health and safety crisis, he has not only continued to serve All Saints, but the region at large. She goes on to say that Crimmins is on this committee with the Episcopal Diocese of Newark to establish COVID-19 protocols, and it involves 92 parishes across northern New Jersey, so obviously that's not a small coalition. And they convene weekly for months to write, as she calls it, life-saving protocols protecting the health and welfare of more than 21,000 faithful Episcopalians and their neighbors. So clearly this is a group that is not wanting to see Crimmins go. Crimmins wasn't the chief for terribly long. He was sworn in October 2018 and was placed on administrative leave on May 18, 2021, which was coincidentally the same day that then Police Chief Kenneth Ferrante announced he'd be retiring. As you guys know, Ferrante has since been brought back as the Public Safety Director. The Police Chief has gotten a raise, and Battalion Fire Chief Anton Peskins has been the acting chief ever since. Again, we don't have any update from the city. I reached out to the public safety spokeswoman asking, what was going on with this letter, and she said that the city does not comment on personnel matters. Now, another one that we're sure to be talking with for a couple weeks easily is that there's a St. Patrick's Day celebration or parade, again, depending who you ask, that will be returning on March 4th. So the last time there was any sort of St. Patty's celebration, at least a formal one in Hoboken, was 2011, and it ended up being canned because there was just too much chaos. I mean, there were arrests, ranging from anything from public intoxication to drunk driving to street fighting. The list goes on. I mean, it just didn't work out particularly well. But they're going to try again here, courtesy of the Hoboken Business Alliance. They did a poll in November, and Executive Director Roxanne Early said that 78% of residents, or respondents, I should say, said that they wanted the parade or the celebration to return. Now, if you look at the route and you look at the details that they released, they have a pipe band and they have a float, so they're saying it's not a formal parade, but obviously a lot of people don't see the distinction. I'm sure the Hoboken Police Department and Public Safety is going to be on top of this, and we're going to watch it very closely. We're almost done, but not quite. We're going to take one more break. We'll be right back.
150 around front, please.
We designed the F-150 to be tough. And we delivered on towing and payload like you'd expect. We also made it smart, starting with an available hybrid powertrain. This engine also allows you to use your truck as a high wattage generator. It's the kind of capability that a truck owner's really never had before.
The Ford Maverick is a smaller truck, but the available 2.0-liter EcoBoost engine has plenty of horsepower and torque and allows you to tow all kinds of stuff. And if you need to take the Maverick out past city limits, there's select drive modes to take on different terrains, as well as the FX4 off-road package with all-wheel drive.
Hudson County View live at Uncut, John Arhitis. So we actually saw U.S. Rep. Bill Pascrell, or I guess specifically my colleague Daniel Aloha saw Bill Pascrell, but the representative in the 9th District had quite a few interesting comments when we saw him in Secaucus. So at that event, just to give some context, he announced that there'd be $950,000 in federal funds going towards a new senior center, which, obviously a lot of town officials were happy about. But we talked to him afterwards, and he wanted to touch on some national issues. And one involved this Georgia grand jury over the 2020 election and then President Donald Trump. And another was that, as he calls him, the clown from Long Island, George Santos, who was also, of course, in the U.S. House of Representatives, and we've heard countless stories about things that he's fabricated about his resume, including working on that Spider-Man show on Broadway, including whether or not he used to wear women's clothing in Brazil, including this animal nonprofit that he operated and got funds from. So there's a lot there. That's a whole show in and of itself. But first, let's take it one step at a time. Let's talk about what the congressman said about this Georgia grand jury. So he said that jury was absent prejudice. They worked objectively, and that jury decided unanimously that certain people who testified, they didn't say about publicly, lied, and they wanted those people indicted. If the attorney general and the judge have guts, that'll happen. But if you're talking about Georgia, you're not talking about New Jersey. It's taken them a little while to catch up, but I'm confident something will happen. No one is above the law, not even a congressman. So that grand jury report that was released last week said that they believed one or more witnesses committed perjury while testifying in the case. And nevertheless, Team Trump is looking at this as a win because the president wasn't named outright. And a campaign spokesman, Stephen Chung, posted a statement online that said, in part, the long-awaited important sections of the Georgia report, which do not even mention President Trump's name, have nothing to do with the president because President Trump did absolutely nothing wrong. And you guys may have seen Trump on Truth Social claim that he got total exoneration from the grand jury, who he thanked for their participation in the democratic process. Now, as far as Santos goes, Pasquale said, I don't think he's ever told the truth in his life. And specifically, you see this clown from Long Island. I'm not calling him a clown behind his back. I call him a clown to his face. I don't think he's ever told the truth in his life. He's got a major psychological situation going on. Whether he stays there or not, I don't know. The people voted for him. Now they want him out. That is a decision they will make. Now, very, very quickly, we also saw him and U.S. Rep. Don Bacon call on Warner Brothers Discovery to answer questions about Power Slap. And you saw that he did this a few months ago with the NFL when a quarterback, the Miami Dolphins quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, had those 2 consecutive concussions. So you can read about that on HudsonCountyView.com, of course. But we're out of time, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you tomorrow at the fundraiser about those fires in West New York and Union City. So we'll be here at 5 o'clock. See you then.